and range, I wanted you to try B, C, and D. So here's letter B. Remember our format that we discussed was your lowest number less than X, less than your highest number, and your range was some number, your lowest number less than Y, less than your highest number. Someone tell me what you've got for domain. Kenny. Very nice. Do you agree with her? How many people got that?
I got -4.
Oh, because you went Y. It's got an X. Domain is X. -3. Very nice job, Kenny. To +3. Closed and then open. Make sure your inequalities are correct. Question? Sophia, give me the range. Very nice. Who got that? Nice job. Any questions? All right, then let's look at C because we talked about on C. Oh, real quick. Is B a function? No, it is not. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Are you sure? It is a function because if we does it pass the vertical line test? So yes. What about C? Is C a function? No. These are both B and C are, remember, these are continuous, which is why we are using inequalities. All right, someone tell me what you got for the domain here. Be careful. Domain. Lila. Very nice. Very nice. And the -2 is only less than 1. We have an open circle, and 2, we talked about this graph is not actually touching that line. Okay, what about the range? Give me a range. Go for it, Soto. Very nice. How do we do on that one? Do I have any questions? Okay. What's your question? Soto, it's not 2. You were looking at something else. It needed to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that? You looked at the wrong. Okay. He was looking at D or at B. All right. Good job. And we said this is or is not a function? It is not. All right. D was special. It's got that arrow. Remember we talked about the arrow yesterday? Is it continuous or discrete? It is still continuous, so we're still using inequalities. Ooh, who got this one? Nate. X is less than 2, right? Right here, and it is an open circle. We don't need to write negative infinity over here. Kenny? Less than 0. Very nice. How did we do on this? Feel pretty good? Very nice. Very nice. So let's talk about what happens now if we have to go the other way. What if you have to draw your graph? So I want you to keep in mind there are lots of ways to do this. One of the easiest ways is to match up the numbers that go along and have the same inequality symbol. So -2 and +4 both have or equal to. So you can create the coordinate -2, +4, and you know that you're going to have a closed circle there because those are both or equal to. So I can go -2, +4, closed circle. Do you see that? We've got 1 and -1 and +3. Those are both less than, so we know there's an open circle there. Or yes, I did. Thank you. Whoever said that. 3, -1. Maddie, was that you? Good job. Thank you. I just like that. Looks weird. 3, -1, and this is an open circle. So really, if it helps you, if you're one of those function window people, you can say, okay, -2 to +3. -1 to +4, and you know your graph is going to be in here, okay? Now it does want you to draw a function. So since it needs to be a function, we cannot do this. Don't do this. Just watch. Let me do it real light. You cannot do this. Well, that's a super cool graph, and it does match that domain and range. It is not a function, okay? And your directions up here specifically say sketch and graph a function. So we could do what? We could just draw a straight line. You could, be creative and you could, do something like that. You could do a straight line. It's up to you. Did someone do something different? Luke. Because they both had the closed circle inequalities. Okay, good question. All right, anyone else? All right, so let's look at, you want to look at another one? Okay. No. You want to look at C? You want to look at both of them or just want to look at one? Okay, so see, you're like Mrs. Ray, they don't match. All right, but the inequalities. But let's at least draw our window. Here is where x is -2, and here is where y is -3. Now we know they're both greater than, so we're going to be drawing over here. It has to touch this -2 line and get close to the -3 line. But it doesn't have to touch the -3 line. So we're not going to be able to use the coordinate -2, -3 here. Because one is an open circle and one is a closed circle, right? So one way you could do this, there's lots of ways. You can choose any spot on here. I'm just going to pick here. I'm going to do a closed circle here. Maybe I draw an absolute value graph. And I get really, really close to -3, but I don't touch it. Would that work? I don't know. Let's look at it. -2, right? That's our, everything is greater than -2. This is our lowest part. So all of these are bigger than -2. And I got really close to -3 here, but I didn't actually touch it. Sometimes you'll see it as a curve. I mean, we could go like this. I could put a closed circle here. And maybe I go like that. Would that work? They're still functions. It is a funky function. Okay? So there's lots and lots of ways and lots of graphs that could meet this criteria. You just have to think about drawing your window and where you wanted to put things. Yes? It would, yes. Okay. I mean, you could put an open circle here, and you could maybe you go like that. But is that a function? No, that one's not actually a function. So that one won't really work. Yes. Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do today is come up with the graphs when I give you a domain and range. Okay? So everybody got a puzzler page? Yes? I'm going to give you some pieces in just a minute. And I'm going to show you how to do this. All right, so you have a grid. And you have 4 cards, and you're not going to use all 4 cards. You're going to have to decide which 2 cards you need to use to meet the criteria here. So I would suggest you're drawing on your paper first. Do you want to do? Let's look down here. Let's do this one. On the bottom and the front. So I want you to realize first, if you want to draw your window, here's -3, here's +3, here's +1. Here's +4, okay? And you can do like we did before, where you're looking kind of diagonal to match up those signs. So we can go -3, +4 with a closed circle, and we can go 3, 1 with an open. Now, the key is to find the cards that make that happen. So I've got a closed circle here. I have an open circle here. So we know, we talked, you can draw a straight line, but you have to use the cards to make this work. And we know we're going to be in quadrants 1 and 2. So if I've got my cards here, what card do I know I can get rid of? The arrow, because that one's not going to keep going. All right, so if I know that I've got this, I know I've got an open and a closed circle. All right, I know I've got my open circle has to be over here in quadrant 1. If I do that, does that match what we drew? Yes. But if I do this, is it wrong? That is wrong because the closed will overrule the open, right? And I don't see any other way that for me to turn this one. So that means I've got to use this one. Does this one work? Yes. Now I want you to look. So we're going to draw it. Going to kind of sketch it as best we can. So I've got here, and then it kind of, I'm going to have to move my circle down a little bit. Do you see that? So we can see that this does, in fact, so -3 is closed to +3 open, +1 open to +4 closed because we are touching this line, okay? So I want you to see how many puzzles you can get done to see if you can work backwards, all right?